G'day there guys, Floral Shirt Markee here and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you're struggling through a crumbling relationship, I want you to sit back, relax, tell me what you think of today's stories and you're safe here, have a good one. Posted by user ThrowRANCPBF, titled, "My boyfriend's friend filmed his girlfriend without her knowing and showed his friends. I said it was sickening and unforgivable, and my boyfriend told me to get off my high horse." Context: the filming happened 25 years ago. Him and his friend are 47 now. I just learned about this and reacted with disgust. Edit: the filming happened 25 years ago, and he showed it to his friends immediately after. My boyfriend said that it was a bad thing to do, but the filming and showing of non-consensual porn by his friend should be forgiven because he was in his 20s and stupid, and that the girl never knew and will never know. I said his reasoning was terrible and felt sorry for the poor girl, and I asked him if I told him that someone in their 20s filmed me unknowingly and showed it to all his friends, would he say the same thing to me? That the guy was 20 and stupid? And he told me to get off my high horse, and that his friend is a great guy. His friend now seems like a decent person and has a loving family. He's done other awful things in his past. For example, invited his friends to hide in his closet while he had sex with someone without her knowing. My boyfriend said he hid because he didn't believe he would actually do it, and when the sex started happening, he turned away. I guess I believe my boyfriend, but it makes me very uncomfortable. I know this was 25 years ago, and people change. His friend does seem like a decent person now, but I'm upset that my boyfriend isn't as disapproving of this, and got annoyed at me for being upset by it. Am I overreacting? Edit: his friend's actions are unforgivable, and from other things my now ex has told me, and how people have made me question them, I do not believe he is a decent man from what I know of him. As a victim of abuse, I thought I would be smart enough to recognize it, but I wasn't. Thank you to everyone who has comforted me and offered me advice. This has gone beyond my original post, but I realize his issues are much deeper than this, and I'm overwhelmed. I won't be seeing him again. I will be looking at therapy. There was a comment here deleted by user, but OP's response is, "I'm 23. I told him age doesn't excuse what he did, but he doesn't stop defending his friend. He said he had no interest in the older women that he met and liked me because I like space and rockets." As I type this again, I see that that was a red flag. Probably not true at all. I'm not seeing this man again. Babe, I'm in your corner. I'm only 7 years older than you, but I also have dated older men who I found out were abusers and addicts. I know how it feels when you realize you've been sleeping with someone who is actually horrible. And the space thing. If I'm 30 and also interested in space and rockets, why couldn't he find a 50-year-old astrophysicist to date? Because she wouldn't date a childish monster. Weird that that would be one of his grooming tactics, you know? He's not even a smart predator. Just remember, you're not dumb for falling for his tricks. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, you were probably a radiant, brilliant, kind young woman, and that's why he went after you. Young women haven't fully come into their power yet, so they don't know how great they are and what they actually deserve. Spoiler, it's someone who supports you at every corner and regularly hypes you up and will drop what's at hand if you really need them to. That's true partnership. Yup, your boyfriend is a scum. Sorry. Watch out for things people talk about and find interest in, what they'd approve and disapprove of. This is who they are. Your boyfriend doesn't care because the poor girl doesn't know about it, so why care? This is his logic. A morally just person wouldn't care if the person knew or not. They wouldn't approve of it because it doesn't sit with their spirit. Your boyfriend isn't a person of value. And OP replies, "When I told my other male friends, they sympathized and reacted how I thought someone would, with disgust and no sympathy for the abuser or for how long ago it happened. My boyfriend says this is the reason we have a criminal system with statutes of limitations, because people should be forgiven after a period of time." And edit, "Thank you so much to all of you who have taught me what this statute really means. I was completely ignorant and took my boyfriend's word, never bothering to look it up. I'm saddened he used this to justify forgiving his friend's actions. And someone replied to that, we have statute of limitations because of several reasons, including the availability of proof, the longer time passes, the less proof, witnesses, etc. are available, to incentivize people to press charges in a timely manner and not wait. I've never heard the forgiveness one, to be honest. And OP replies, I didn't know this. Clearly he didn't know either and was just throwing it around to defend his friend. He seems to believe it means crimes should be forgiven after a certain amount of time. He gave gangs as an example. He said this, kids in gangs kill other people when they're young, but the statute means they're not held accountable forever and eventually forgiven. I said it was a completely different thing to compare to, but he refused to discuss further. Even that is false. Murder does not have a statute of limitations almost anywhere in the world. You can be held accountable to that decades after. That's why the cold cases can still be opened if the new evidence is found, or a confession made. Update. My boyfriend's friend filmed his girlfriend without her knowing and showed his friends. I said it was sickening and unforgivable, and my boyfriend told me to get off my high horse. This post is very long. I'm processing it and can't write down my thoughts well at the moment. That weekend, I ended up going back because my prescriptions and camera are at his place due to them being unsafe at my place. My parents looked through all my things. I still loved him, and when I saw him that day, I decided I didn't want to give up my relationship over something that neither of us got a chance to discuss fully and respectfully. I was in complete denial that the man I thought I knew would defend something like that, and I selfishly decided to live in denial and ignorance until I had the courage to bring it up and face whatever answer he would give me. That was a few weeks ago. 2 weekends ago, we were having drinks at his place and listening to music, discussing a singer and his past allegations of abuse. I stupidly brought up my abuse in the past, and we talked about it. There were 2 incidents I mentioned which I don't want to repeat here. We were both drunk, and when he's drunk, he has no inhibitions on what he says and behaves badly. For some reason, he decided one of my abuses were worse than the other. I tried to tell him my experience and why, to me, one affected me more than the other. At no point did I say one was worse, and I don't ever intend to decide which was worse. He took this as me justifying my abuse, and called me ridiculous for thinking how I did, and that I can't see how one was worse than the other. To me, both were traumatic. I wasn't and will never compare one to the other to decide which one was worse, and me talking about my experience wasn't me justifying it. He got angry that I wouldn't agree that one was worse than the other, and asked me how I could defend one abuser over the other. I wasn't doing this. In complete frustration, I asked him how he could defend his friend for what he did. He got even angrier at that. He refused to answer the question and kept trying to ridicule me for describing one of my experiences as more traumatic than the other. I kept persisting for an answer, and he stood by what he said the first time and defended his friend. He said that in the 90s, illegal filming and getting your friends to hide in a closet without the other person's consent to watch them was widespread and accepted and not as bad as it is now. He said he found the incident amusing and funny because he couldn't believe it actually happened. He said when he told me the first time, he thought I would be cool about it because I was one of his friends. I asked him what he expected my response would be when he told me. He said I thought I would also find it funny. I asked him if he really found it funny, and he said yes. He thought it was a funny, amusing anecdote. I told him I felt sick. He laughed and said these words, "You're all woke, you young people. To you, everything you think is right. Only you know right from wrong. You're always correct." I asked him if it was his sister or daughter, how would he feel? He said it would be unacceptable. I asked him if he found it okay because the girl wasn't his friend, and he said yes. I couldn't believe it. I left. The verbal abuse from him continued through text. I told him I was leaving because I couldn't be with a man who found sexual crimes amusing and funny. He told me the reason I was leaving was because I couldn't accept that one of my abusers was worse than the other, and I had to bring up his friends to deflect. He kept repeating this for an hour. I asked him one last time if he really justified the abuse, and if he thought because he didn't know the girl, it was okay. I asked if his friend came up to him now and showed him a tape he filmed, would he find it okay? He said these words, "I will always defend my friends, that includes you and all my other friends, for better or for worse. That is how I am." I was sitting outside while this happened. I went back to get my prescriptions and camera before leaving for good. I was shocked to find him still drinking and took his beer off the couch to throw it away when I left. He was furious. He grabbed the bottle from my hands, and in the process, it spilled on the carpet. I haven't seen that much anger in him before. He told me to F off because I disrespected his place and that he never wanted to see me again. Somehow, despite it all, I felt extremely guilty for not ruining his carpet and sent him money to pay for cleaning it. I left with all my things. I've lost all track of time. At this point, it was nearly 2 a.m. I was a long way from home, and there would be no public transport home for another 2.5 hours. My phone was on 3%, and I was desperately trying to book an Uber and find a safe hotel to stay at for the night before it died. I was waiting for the hourly night bus to the city outside his apartment when 4 men got out of a taxi and started catcalling me, and one asked me where I was going, if I wanted a ride, if I would go to a hotel with him to sleep with him. They grabbed my ID and looked at my name and place of work, and then started asking me about my workplace. My ID was in my hand because my transport card is attached. The bus arrived and they waved it away. That was the last bus I could catch until transport started up again. They weren't being aggressive or touching me, but I panicked and called him. My boyfriend came over and took me back to his apartment to stay until I had transport and to charge my phone. I had nowhere else to go, so I said okay. He was still drinking, 12 beers in, and still angry. He told me to sit down or leave. I sat. He tormented me for an hour about my abuse and how I was ridiculous for defending my abusers and trying to insult his friends. I just sat there and cried until he said I could go to sleep. He kept drinking. 16 beers in, he finally went to sleep because he had no more to drink. The next morning, I tried to leave quietly, but it woke him. He asked me why I was leaving, that it was unfair, and he wanted a chance to explain. I told him why I was leaving, and he stood by his view that me bringing up his friend's abuse was the reason the argument started, and the reason the night went badly, that I was trying to attack his friends. He took no responsibility for what he did, and didn't apologize for anything. He kept insisting it was unfair. The next week, I told him I don't want him contacting me again. He asked for a chance to explain. He sent me texts addressing both of his friends' crimes and said they were wrong, that everyone who watched was in the wrong, and that he knew that he was in the wrong for not walking out of the closet and stopping it as soon as he knew what was happening. He asked me what I thought was the reason for the agreement. He said again that it was me who started it because I brought up his friend. But he also said that he was in the wrong because he was drunk and said things he didn't believe. His views on his friend's actions. He wanted to share 50-50 blame. He said he'd been a bad boyfriend and did bad things that night and apologized for them. He sent me back the money for the carpet. The carpet was okay, otherwise I would have still insisted on paying. He said he's willing to talk about it respectfully with me and wants us to be able to do that in the future. He said if I ever have something to discuss, I should choose a time when we're both sober and are in the mindset to discuss. I agree I brought it up at a terrible time, but I don't think drinking is an excuse for his actions that night. He says he'll change if I can change with him. He said he doesn't want something like that night to ever happen again. I don't know what to do or think. I feel lost and worthless at the moment, and I feel like I'm still being manipulated, and I don't know if I can trust him to change. He's made me happier than anyone else, but also more miserable than anyone else. He is currently my only source of happiness when our relationship is good. I don't know if I'll be any happier or worse off if I give up on that. Posted by user ThrowRACheetah1. Titled, My girlfriend has been sleeping with my roommate. Apparently this has been going on for a while. I've been dating her for over a year, and I'll confess, I'm not very good in bed, but I try. I love her, and I thought our relationship was great. Then last night, I saw her effing my roommate, my best friend who I thought I could count on. I'm socially awkward, so I don't have that many other friends, but I thought I didn't need any more so long as I had him. I saw them openly effing each other in the living room. I couldn't help but stare in disbelief. Then I heard my roommate tell my girlfriend to keep it down so as not to wake me up. She responded by saying that I never heard them before, so this has clearly been going on for a while. Now, as I said before, I'm not very good in the bedroom, mainly because of my small size. I've always been insecure about this. Seeing my girlfriend cheat on me has amplified this considerably. I don't know what to do. It won't be easy to find a new place to stay and get out of my lease. My family is abusive, so they are not an option. My few other friends are closer to my roommate than me, and I wouldn't call them confidants of mine. And I've emotionally invested a lot into my girlfriend. She was my first one. I can't pretend I didn't see what I saw, but I don't know how I can get out of my apartment. And if I do, I'm gonna be all alone. I'm already dealing with pain from being betrayed by the two people I thought I could trust, and from my personal insecurities. I'm terrified at the prospect of being completely alone as well. My god, people are so crappy. Sorry man, make sure you kick her to the curb and find a new roommate next semester. If you don't, experiencing any more episodes where you end up watching your roommate and girlfriend have sex can cause emotional scarring and trust issues that could carry over to your next relationship. And OP says, "Thank you. I do know that's what I need to do. I'm just worried about being alone after. Not to mention that moving away can be a challenge right now. It sounds like you've struggled with loneliness in the past, but my best advice would be to get on your own when it's economically feasible, then concentrate on working on yourself. Find a hobby, do things you enjoy doing, try to pick up habits that can contribute to feeling positive about yourself, and try out therapists until you find one you vibe with. I've struggled with loneliness my whole life, but in the sense of never being understood or listened to by those that I claimed would always be there for me. After a lifetime of being a people pleaser, worrying about what others thought and tending to their needs, I bottomed out and felt the worst I have ever felt, completely alone and with no other options but ending it all. I dedicated my energy to working on myself. I tried to approach it from the mindset of finally treating myself the way I have prided myself in how I treat others. It was uncomfortable, awkward, and felt completely undeserving it for a while at first. Then I began noticing little changes in myself, like not worrying if someone asked to hang out and I said no, or finding myself being less and less anxious while I was alone. This slowly built confidence in myself, and that confidence slowly being evident in my everyday life. I now have a small, select group of friends that I know would have my back when I need it. Everyone else that I once thought deserved a place in my life, that was never there for me when they knew I was struggling, can go kick rocks. Your life will actually be better without them. When your people see you being happy just being yourself, those that share a similar wavelength will find you. You'll be a beacon of light to a moth. And for those people that don't like what you're putting down, screw 'em. You're happy just occupying space in your own existence now, and don't need that crap in your life. As for the two perpetrators of this disgustingly disloyal tryst, they deserve each other. Any person that would betray you this way, with such little discretion for how you would feel, is not worth 1 minute of your time. Let them know what you saw, and bring it to their attention that it's not okay. They will squirm, they will lie, they will do whatever they can to talk their way out of it. Try and remember though, that they are not doing this to comfort you. It will be completely self-serving. They will feel bad that they were caught, and actually are the wretched hose beasts they've been convincing themselves they are not this whole time. You've got this. It may seem like the end of the world, but time will slowly erode the horrors that you saw. It will soon be a distant memory that you look back on as nothing more than the catalyst in accepting yourself for the truly special person you are. P.S. As for your dick, love that thing, man. It's the only one you have. Your dick's perfect the way it is. We don't control the genetic lottery, and it's most certainly no reason for a decent human being to resort to effing someone behind your back. Learn to work that hog and find someone that will talk about their wants and needs. Your tongue is also your new best friend in both pleasuring a partner and using it to express yourself. Updates. My girlfriend has been sleeping with my roommates. First of all, thanks to everyone. While there were some rather unpleasant responses, like the guy who called me a pussy for being upset, or the woman who messaged me to say that if I couldn't satisfy my girlfriend, I should let better men do so because she deserved it, the overwhelming majority were kind and sympathetic. I couldn't respond to most because there were so many, but I assure you, you are appreciated. I talked to my landlord who was sympathetic and offered me another apartment if I continued paying my lease. It's an informal arrangement where I'm still legally residing and paying for my old apartment, but staying in another. As expected, my now former friends took my old roommate's side, and I've cut them out of my life. I'm not doing the best I could be mentally. I'm all alone and dealing with personal insecurities, loneliness, and heartbreak. Still, at least I'm out of my earlier situation. I've taken a week off work and arranged to see a therapist. All in all, my situation isn't great, but it's unlikely to get worse, and I'm working on improving it. Edit. I have been completely overwhelmed by the response to this. I have literally hundreds of messages of support, and lots of comments urging me to stay strong. There is no possible way I can respond to all of them, so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. You are all amazing. And Jenny Fair says, good for you for making the changes necessary to get yourself out of that situation and to remove the not good people from your life. This must be so hard, but you are being stronger than you feel you are. Clearly, do not listen to trolls trying to upset you. They wouldn't listen to their own advice if they were in your situation, so F them. Keep taking good care of yourself as you go through this pain. The landlord is the true bro in this story. OP would do well to send the landlord a thank you gift, if only just a thank you note. How much of a scumbag do you have to be to side with the friend who stole another friend's girlfriend? Even if they are close, that part just doesn't make sense. Do they not have a conscience or a sense of morality? Screw those friends. You are better off without them. That's what I was wondering. Who in their right minds would side with a cheater? I bet the ex-roomie told them a whole other story. I imagine two possibilities are those friends were either buttered up by the roommate or girlfriend already and weren't as close as OP expected, or alternatively, they were friends OP made through his girlfriend and roommates. Or I could be completely off. Who knows? Either way, sometimes you're better off alone than in bad company. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.